Hello, friends. Welcome to Anirban's World of Digital Finance powered by S4Hana. And this is Anirban here. And today we are going to record a 48 video on tax on sales and purchases. So with that, let's start sharing the screen. And this would be a configuration video. So I'll start sharing the screen. I believe that you can see the screen. Now, as I was discussing before, that this is a 48 video SAP FICO module 48 video, and it would be on tax on sales and purchase for accounts receivables and accounts payable. And this would be a configuration video. In this video, we are going to cover all these activities, the 10 activities that we are going to cover. And yes, and if we look back in time, we have already covered enterprise structure, chapters on enterprise structure, fiscal year variant, posting period variant, general ledger accounting, document splitting, controlling area, profit center, cost element, and then currency types, ledgers, accounting principles, and then we came to integration of CO and FI. We discussed about the master data of vendor and customer, both at the configuration and the end user. Then we discussed about document entry and various parameters which controls the document entries both at the header level and at the line level. We discussed about how to assign the default values for the fiscal value, fiscal year, and the value date. And finally, the current chapter would be on taxes on sales and purchase, both in AR and AP. And this would be the 48 video. All right. So if we scroll to the left, we will see these are the menu paths and which we will be talking more in details once we log into SAP. And these are, as mentioned before, these are the configuration video, and this is the T code, right? So, all right. So with that, let's log into SAP. Okay, so we are in SAP Easy Access, and we are going to go to SPR because since, as I mentioned before, this is a configuration video. So SAP reference IMG. Then we will go to financial accounting, and then financial accounting global settings. Then we will come to tax on sales and purchase, and here we would be mainly dealing with these three options: basic settings, calculations, and postings, right? So we'll come to basic settings and we'll click on check calculation procedure. So this is the sequence. These are the three options that we get: access sequence, define condition types, and define procedures. Right. So first we will go to define procedures. Okay, and then we will go to tax, because if you know that we are like our company code is in UK, so we will look for tax GB, right? This would be our procedure, and I'll select this and double click on the control data. So these are the various, the parameters that has already been entered, and these are the standard ACP offerings. And ACP suggests that you should not change these settings. If there is any specific requirement, you need to customize further. It's better that we go for a new entries, right? But as of now, these are the standard settings. If you see, output tax is MWAS and MWVS is the input tax. So these are the primarily things that we would require, we would be using further, right? So with this, this is all about the first step that we need to understand where this calculation is coming from. So we go out from here and then we will go to define condition types. In define condition types, again, we will look for the condition type. So the condition type would be Just give me a moment. Right, so here we have to in the previous screen we have seen MWAS and MWVS as a two input and output conditions that we would be mostly dealing with in our subsequent videos. So let's go for MWS. And this is, as I mentioned, output tax type. So we will click here and we will see what are the further parameters that has been set. So these are the condition class, condition type, like how the tax will be calculated. It is basically being set here, and we are not going to make any changes because, as mentioned before, it is standard, SAP offering. But if the business requirement asks you to customize this further, you may customize this further. But as of now, this is a standard offering that we will add up. All right. Similarly, this is the output tax MWAS, and if we go to MWVS, we will see similar conditions for input tax. Again, the same thing that we are not going to make any changes here unless it is required by the business. So this is how we look into the condition type tab MWAS. All right. So here now the sequence we will look into is MWST. So the further we will look into the sequence of MWST, how it works. So if we go out here and MWST, so with this access we will take and we will see the accesses. So this is how, first it will look into this tax classification, and this then it would be the system will be looking into country tax code. So this is a sequence it will follow. And if we if we select this 10 and go to the fields, then again these are the various condition types that is assigned to the SAP for the tax calculation. So as mentioned before, these are the standard SAP offerings, and based on which the tax is getting calculated during our postings in FB60 or FB70. So we are not going to make any changes here at this point of time. We will take the standard tax offering, but having said that, if the business requires you to customize this further, then as per the business requirement, the FICO consultant will customize this. So having said that, this is how it is being done. So usually, if we need to select a new entry, first we would select the which we should design the sequence, and then we'll define the condition type, and then we will assign the condition type to the procedure. So these are the sequence that we should follow if we are supposed to do a new entry. But having said that, here we are not going to do any new entry. Rather, we would take the standard SAP offering. Okay, so with that, let's go to the Excel file and see how many we have covered. So we have already covered the three steps of the basic settings. If we see, if we have already covered the three sets of the basic settings, and this where we have actually checked the calculation procedure. Sorry, this is the first step that we have covered, which is we have checked the procedures, we have checked the condition types, and we check the sequence. So this is the first activity that we have done. We have two more activities to go. So now in the basic settings, we are going to assign the country to the calculation procedure. So if we go here, we know our country is GB, which is Great Britain. And then if you already see that it is already being assigned, tax GB is already assigned, or procedure tax GB is already assigned to the country. So here we need not have to do anything, but if it has not been assigned, you can always assign tax GB, your tax procedure, to your country. So this is the second step of the ready reckoner, which is mentioned in the ready reckoner. So we are done with these two. Now coming to the check and change settings for sorry. Yes, so check and change settings for the tax processing. Okay, so this is the output tax as mentioned before, that MWS is the output tax and VST is the input tax. So these are the two processes that we will be primarily dealing with in our further videos, should keep in mind. So once we select this MWS, we double click it here, and here you mentioned that the the conditions of output tax and posting indicator in separate line items. So all these things are already mentioned here. Again, as mentioned before, that we are not going to make any changes. So here you can make output tax, input tax, additional tax not relevant to tax. So MWS is a standard output tax. So we would be taking this, keeping this, and we are not going to make any changes, right? So please remember that MWS is output tax, and this is mainly related with sales and customers, right? So, and again, VST similarly, if we go to VST, so VST is again related, is called input tax, and this is more related with input and vendors. Okay, so these two we would always try to remember. Okay, so this with this we are done with the third steps of the basic settings. So we are done with the basic settings. We will come out of it, and then we will go to the calculation bit. So we are done with this as well, and then we should define, go to calculation bit, and then we'll say define tax codes for sales and purchases. So we will go to GB, and here if you see that we have several tax codes. So usually we will take A0 is the exempt tax, which is 0%. A1 is 17.5% for output tax, and V1 is similarly. So all A's are basically input output tax, which is related with your customers, sales customers, and all V's are input tax, which are related with um, vendors, and which are related with vendors and sales, right? And these are the various tax categories, and if you want, you can configure new tax categories. As of now, we are not going to configure new tax categories, because we are only going to work with A1 and V1 as of now. So we will take this and see what is inside. So we will hit enter. So if you see that how the tax is getting calculated, output tax as mentioned MWS, and we have, as mentioned before, 17.5%. So in SAP, point is actually written in comma. Point is actually this decimal is actually in comma. And if you see the comma separator, it is actually point, right? So we will see more in future videos. But as of now, understand this 17 comma 500 is nothing but 17.5. Okay, the decimal is actually comma here. Now, what it says basically is that this is line item level 110, and actually it is getting calculated on 100, which is a base item. So this shows that MWS is a output tax which would be calculated on base item at a rate of 17.5%. Correct? So this is what it says. Now, if we again go back and select V1 and come here. So here it says the same thing, that VST is actually an input tax, which is again calculated 17.5% on 100. 100 is nothing but the base amount. If you see 100, this 100 is a base amount, 100. Okay, so this is how the input and output tax is configured in SAP. The percentage is configured, and SAP understands, or we instruct SAP how to calculate the input and the output tax. Okay, so we are done with the first part of the calculation, and then we go to ready reckoner. So we highlight this. This is done. Now we come here and say that assign company code. So this step, what we are doing is that whether document date or the posting date is to be used for tax calculation. So we'll come here and we will click here assign company code, and then we'll go to our company code, which is HKNM Hakuna Matata. All right. Here what you see, that determination with document date, which means that if you check here, then doc date would be the relevant date for tax calculation, because your tax rates, they change with the date, right? So which date would be the relevant date, or which rate of which date would be taken considered for your tax calculation? Would it be a document date or posting date? If it is a document date, you will check here. If it is a posting date, you keep it unchecked, right? So we are going to keep it unchecked, because we are going to take the tax rate as of posting date and not as of document date. That is the our business requirement. But if it is the business requirement says that you should take the tax rate of the document date, then you should check it here. You should check this box. Okay. So we are going out and then we will highlight this. This is all done. Now this one would be specify base amount. So here what we are doing basically is we'll go to our company code HKNM. Here we would check this box if there is a cash discount that is given, okay? And if we are excluding the cash discount from the base amount for the purpose of tax calculation, then we are going to check this, okay? For example, I have a 100 rupees transaction. I made a 100 rupees transaction, and there is a cash discount offered of 10 rupees. So will the tax be calculated on 100 rupees or 90 or 100 minus 10, that is 90 rupees? Obviously, the the business requirement would ask you, or the tax laws would ask you to calculate tax on the base amount and not the calculate tax on the net of cash discount amount and not on the gross amount. So once you check this, you will be calculating the tax based on net of cash discount amount. So your base amount would be net of tax discount amount and not on gross amount. So that's why we have checked it. It is already checked here. So that's what we should do. And also we have another country which another company code which HKUS. We will also check it and we will save it. So what we should do is I think we would have our own request in the name specify base amount. Let's see. Oh no, we don't have this one. So we will say specify base amount. Okay, save it. All right, so we are done with this one as well. Right, and then we'll go to posting. So, so we are done. So as I mentioned before that there are nodes. Primarily, there are three nodes on tax calculation. One is basic setting, one is calculation, and this posting. So we are done with the basic settings and the calculation. We mostly did nothing here in this because we are actually taking accepting the standard SAP offerings. But as mentioned before, that if your business requires customization, you may go ahead. But for our demonstration purpose, for our learning purpose, we are only understanding what the configuration means, and we are accepting that. Okay, now here we are going to define tax accounts. So we double click here, and then we will, as mentioned before, that we are going to work on only primarily the MWS and VST. MWS is our output tax and VST is our input tax. So we will take MWS, and then this is already mentioned, debit should be 40, credit should be 50. We will select this, and these are the posting keys though. And you see that and the name is output tax. As mentioned before, MWS is your output tax. So you will click on rules, and then you go to your chart of accounts. So if you remember, our chart of accounts is SIMBA, SMBA. So if you don't remember, you can always look into the blueprint. So blueprint says SIMBA, SMBA, right? SIMBA, chart of accounts for Lion King 1. So we'll go here and we will select SMBA. And then we select this one and then click on accounts. So here, it is already been configured. I have actually configured before, but having said that, you can also, if it is not there, you can always, click on new entries, and you should enter the tax code that you want to use. You can use multiple tax codes like which you have seen, A0, A1, A2, everything you can use. Your country, you should mention GB, and then this is the GL account which I have already configured, right? And I have mapped to it. So I will go to FS00 and show you exactly. This is the HKNM, and then if we go here, these are the two tax GL accounts that I have already configured, 10003 and 20001. So this one is for input tax. If I see, yeah, this is for output tax 20001 A1 and MWS. So this is output tax. A1 is for output tax and 20001 is for output tax. So if we go here and we take a look into it, we'll see that this is a balance sheet account and general ledger account. So output tax is on customer and output tax is on customer. And if you remember that we are taking the tax from the customer and we have to deposit it to the government. So this is considered to be our liability. And if we go to our blueprint again, if you see that this one is our liability, correct? So we have actually given the name to selected the number range from this bracket 20001 we have selected. This is a balance sheet account and the account type is GL account, general GL accounts. Okay, so these are the configuration. We have named it, given it as a output tax, output VAT tax. We haven't mentioned here 17.5% because as mentioned before that you can either use the same general ledger for all the tax categories, or you can name like 2001 for A1, 2002 for A2. Like this way you can give different GL accounts as well. So depending upon the requirement, you can mention the percentage here, and if you are or you may not. Coming and then this is a group account number, and we have dealt with the group account number in our previous lectures. And if you haven't seen those, please feel free to watch those videos. Now coming to the control data again, the main thing that we did is that this is GBP, which is too obvious currency. We have mentioned the tax category as output tax account. If you see here, there are several tax options are available. So only input tax, all tax types. So this is output tax account. So whenever you are giving this sign, this is the output tax account, right? So since this is the output tax, we are configuring MWS for A category tax code. So we are taking this symbol. Okay, and then we click on open item management, and then in create bank statement create bank interest field status group, we will go to give G001 and post automatically only will check it and we will save it. So these are the basic configuration that we should do to configure this 20001. Okay, the same thing we will do for 1003 for input tax. So let's go out and let me show this. So in posting we'll go back to posting key and we will go to VST. We will select this and go to rules. Now here again we will select our chart of accounts, which is HKNM. Sorry, it's not HKNM. Our chart of accounts is SIMBA, SMBA. Now we select this and we go to accounts. Now you see that same thing V1 GB and 1003 is assigned. As mentioned before, you can also if you think that you are going to use the tax various other tax codes on a transaction, you have to click on new entries and you have to select any one of these tax codes. You go to your tax GB. And in tax GB, you will select, say V1. V1 is already selected, so probably V2 you can also select V2 or select V3 you select, or V0 you can select, and then you select the country as GB, and then your account is whatever we were talking about 1003, and then you save it. But we don't want to save it, so we are not going to, because we are only going to use this one V1 account in our further posting, so we are going to keep this V1. But if required, you can always do the same thing by clicking on the new entries. Now coming to 1003, it would all be the same. Only thing is that we have selected a range from our asset account, because this is we are paying it to the vendor, and this credit we will get from the government, right? Because we have already paid to the vendor. Vendor will deposit the tax amount to the government, and we will get a credit from the government. So it is our asset. So we have taken the 100 range from our numbering range, and the rest would remain almost the same. Okay, so that's how we are configuring these GL accounts, and we come back here, and that's how we are configuring this step defined tax account. Okay, so let's go back and see where we stand in the ready reckoner file. So defined tax account is already being done. Now, if you remember that we have to, from our document splitting chapter, that we have to classify the document type whenever we are actually configuring a new GL type, then we have to configure the, excuse me, we have we have to configure the document type. So what we should do basically, we should let's open a new screen and we go to SPRO and go to SAP reference IMG, and then we go to financial accounting, general ledger accounting, business transactions. See, we have already done this before in our previous video. We have discussed about the document splitting. If you haven't, watched that video, please feel free to go back to the YouTube channel and then and refer to these videos to understand what is document splitting all about. Okay, so we click on the document splitting and then we see classify GL accounts for the document splitting. We select our chart of accounts, SIMBA. Now you see that the input tax and the output tax 2001 2001 we have selected as taxes. This 5100 is nothing but taxes on sales and purchase. So we have added this one, we have added this one, and we have added this one. So 1003 if you remember, if you go to this, so 1003, I mean not 1003, 10003 and 20001. So we have added 1003 to 1003, and we have classified it as taxes on sales and purchases, which is identified by 5100. And samely 2001 is to 2001 taxes on sales and purchase, and it is 5100. So this way we have classified it, classify our GL account as and when, and you can also give a range as well. Probably, so suppose if you, as I mentioned before, that for your different tax range, different tax categories, if you are selecting different GL accounts, suppose from 3 to 6 you have selected there for your input tax and output tax, then you can give this range here instead of single. But here, since we are using a single GL for and a single tax code, so we have given 1003 to 1003. Okay, so this is how you do a document splitting for your further posting. Now coming back to here, and then let's see what else is pending. So we are done with the document type and classify document type, and now it is update expense revenue account with tax category. So what we should do basically is that we should go to FS00. We should come back to FS00 and just think that continue. What are the GL accounts that we should be doing needing for your posting? So if you come to so you should need all the expense accounts. So like your audit expense, CRP expense, management expense, and all your revenue accounts for your further postings. And you should put a tax indicator here. So we will take an example of a expense account and a revenue account. Everything has already been done, but I'm going to show you. So I will select this one of the expense account, and I click on this display button. It's not working. Oh yeah, it is working. Now, see what we have to do is that in the tax category, it was already pre-configured. In the tax category, we populated this minus sign. So this minus is only for input tax allowed. Okay, and as mentioned before, that all the expenses would have a input tax, and input tax it would be for the vendor, because vendor we pay, for the vendor we pay. So it is accounts payable. So accounts payable we pay for expenses. So if you remember that in your FB60, the line item, this GL account, expense related GL accounts would be there. So all expenses would be debited, right? And this minus sign would signify the tax category, which is all the input tax. Similarly, If we go to revenue, it would have output tax, because revenue would be would be related with sales, related with customers, right? So as mentioned before, that MWS output tax and customers, right? So this would have a output tax type. So again, if we click on the specs button or the display button, you will see plus has been assigned. So this you have to, instead of here, you have to click on the change button, and you have to add the pluses and minuses in all the relevant revenue and expenses account or sales and purchases account, which we are going to use in subsequent posting. Okay, so this is the configuration part that we have to do. Okay, so we will come out of this, and we are done with this, and then what we should do is that we should assign tax code for non-taxable transactions. So we would again have to go to this posting node, which is all we are already there in the posting node. And what we should do is that not we should this is the code. Okay, and if you go to your company code, which is HKNM and HKUS, if you see that these are the V zeros and A zeros. V zeros are the input, and a zero is a 0%, which is not taxable transaction, and A zeros are the output tax. Zero stands for non-taxable transaction. So here we signify that for non-taxable transaction for input type, which is the expense type V0 is a relevant tax code, and output type, which is the revenue type A zeros are the relevant tax code. This is what we have already signified, and you will, if it is not populated, you will populate it, and then you will save it, right? So with that, we have covered the uh, configuration part of the tax on sales and purchases. The next one video would be an end user video, which we would be talking about how to do a document entry of both AB60 and AB70, including tax codes. In this case, it would be V1 and A1 respectively. So it would be a separate video, and with that, we are done with the configuration part of the tax on sales and purchases. And as mentioned before, that we didn't do much about it. We are accepting most of the SAP transaction, and a few things that we have done, like configuring the GL account, doing the document splittings, are already we have covered in the previous videos. And if you want to refresh your maybe memories, or if you haven't watched those videos, please feel free to refer to the videos in the which is already uploaded in the playlist. I hope you like the video, and if you like the video, please click on the like icon and share it with all your friends. And if you are yet to subscribe the channel, please subscribe the channel. Thank you guys. Bye.